Yeah, it's the only true loop out there, or bigger loop.
Didn't Nate crash there?
Yeah, up the climb. I've seen a lot of people eat it on that
Can
thing.
you walk us through that? What happened there?
Yeah, I surely can walk you through it. It was pretty dumb on my part.
Go Adam.
Okay, here we go. Hello and welcome to Soil Cycling number 14. This is a really special episode because we have two guys on the episode that we haven't had before. Well, one that we haven't had before who has been dying to get on this podcast really since it started. Like he's our number one fan. And honestly, he's really the reason I keep doing this because I've been looking for excuses to get out of it ever since I started. But he's like, this is my favorite podcast, so we have to keep it going. So let's go around the room here real quick.
Gabriel Arnone.
Justin Polk. Hank Dieters.
Austin Hines.
Nate Jones.
Thanks for introducing yourself, guys. And I'm Matt Golson.
The world famous Nate Jones is back.
Nate Jones is back. He's back for round two. We couldn't. He
Round two
more.
here.
Okay, so this is Soil Cycling. Everything going on in Southern Illinois cycling, and Kentucky kind of annexed, I guess, and we picked them up. They picked us up, whatever. So it's awesome to have two representatives from Bike World who are I wouldn't say a rival shop because I think we're all in it together, which is great. So we're starting off talking about Spooky Catalyst, race just last weekend. Very enjoyable, good time had by all. And I was there in a I guess a coverage way, taking some video, enjoying the race. It was awesome to see it, and then it was really, really exciting for me to get to check out Nate's footage because I don't normally ride that fast. So to see what that's like and how exciting that looked pretty awesome. So let's get started with, I guess, we'll go with Austin. Just welcome to the podcast. Tell us a little bit about how that race went for you.
I think it went pretty well. Everybody jumping up to expert was nice. So I could finally get on the podcast. That was pretty cool. But I always liked that race. It's been my favorite one. It kind of sucks they didn't have two this year, but it's always one that I look forward to. But pretty much night before, Nate had said that he was wanting to do the advanced. And so I was like, well, I mean, if everybody's doing it, I'll do it, which didn't turn out that way. But yeah, once I saw all of them switch over to it, at that point I was like, well, I don't really know any of these other people besides Justin, so we'll just see how it goes. But started out the race. I just tried to sprint out to the front, and I thought if I could just get away from Justin and get out of sight, then that would be good. And that's kind of how it went. I saw him for a little bit, and I just tried to keep him gone, and then I pretty much just rode by myself the whole race and tried to beat my second lap time, or beat my first lap time by my second one, and that's kind of what I was doing there.
Awesome. So when you guys planned that, it was kind of funny. I can't remember who it was I was talking to. Somebody was like, oh yeah, they wanted to get more Bike World jerseys on the podium. So they planned that. So like, it was just, when did you make the decision?
Actually, maybe the decision was premeditated.
Yeah.
But
yeah, don't let them lie to you.
Yeah. I was saying like, oh yeah, if you do it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And he was able to drag Gabe into it, and Barry and all those guys, because I think Gabe was signed up for intermediate, and I think he last second switched to advanced, and I was like, all right, good.
As well as he should.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the times, and I can be called a sandbagger, but I still would have got second last race. So like the time wasn't just like, extreme.
You would have got second to who though? Barry and Gabe?
Yeah, so I would have. Well, no, Nicholas would have won. I would have got second. Barry would have got third. But it was also pouring down rain.
Yeah. What were the time? What was
Nick-
the overall time on the race before with Barry and I?
Nick Reel did a 128 something.
That's fast when it's wet out there.
And Barry did a 129.40. So I would have been right in between those two. But like our first race that we did, where I think you beat Barry, so it was you, Barry, me.
Mhm.
Those times were quite a bit slower. Like the winning time, 135.
Or is one I'm looking at right now, 131.
131.
Yeah, I was 131.7, and I got Barry by 2 seconds.
Gotcha. So next time, if everybody else does that, I will go to expert. I'm on the podcast. I got we're here. So now we can lose all we want.
So, something, and this is kind of off topic. We'll come back. We'll talk to Nate. But something that's been on my mind is the whole idea of beginner, sport and expert. To me, I feel like that's a little goofy on this race. It's like, it's more to me. I think it should be like beginner should be a little separate thing, like, okay, you haven't done the race before, you can do beginner or something like that or whatever. But then it's more like, do you want to race a long time or do you want to race a shorter time? I don't know. Like, I guess that's kind of what sport and expert is, but yeah, it just that naming. And I think they were using I think it's always been beginner, sport, and expert, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they were calling it like beginner, intermediate, and advanced, I think, maybe. So I don't know. The terminology really doesn't matter. It's just, do you want to race 1 lap, 2 laps, or 3 laps? And I think that's really, what matters, not necessarily what your title is.
Well, but they would get me in the expert race if they just dropped it down to two laps. I don't care. I'm not near as fast as the other actual mountain bikers in the call, but or people who ride mountain bikes on a semi-regular basis. Austin, I do want to call you out though. You're like, I'm not really a mountain biker. I consider myself a buddy. And then I went and checked his Strava. I went Strava stalking, okay? And he has done 0 rides in the past month on a road bike. He was on the commuter bike and the mountain bike every day for a month. Yeah. I just want to say that.
I rode 5,000 mountain bike miles and put it away.
Yeah.
5,000 road miles, sorry, and put it away.
Oh, okay.
So, the ratio is 5,000 road, 500 mountain bike.
Yeah, like I said, we've had discussions in the past about mountain bike to road miles at some point in time. But I just wanted to say that you were I don't ride very much. I'm I've been on the mountain bike 5 times this year, 10 times this year.
I had to get ready for Spooky Catalyst.
Yeah.
I understand.
Justin, did you try to follow my advice?
I did. Yeah, no, I blew a few corners, and that's all she wrote. And then I also had to realize I had a race the next day up in St. Louis, and I would rather do well in that. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. St. Louis
Competitiveness wasn't
more.
there. The cyclocross matters more to me.
So Nate, 3rd place. How'd that sound? How'd that feel? Pretty good. You get the trophy.
Third place in intermediate if you watch the video.
Yeah.
Did I put intermediate? Did I screw up?
On the race review, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Not on the actual, not on the video or the full GoPro video. But 3rd, I was super happy with. And the guys who beat me, yeah, to even be that close to him, I was pretty happy. So I can't complain too much. Although Barry just absolutely waxed us. I was not seeing that one coming.
No.
Yeah.
I thought it would be closer than that, but he just, once he decided to go, nobody was going with him.
Yeah.
He's sneaky.
I wonder what would happen if everyone. So I am going to put this out there that everyone in that race besides Nate raced BT Epic the week before. So I wonder. I'd say Zach could probably still get Barry if he hadn't done BT, or it'd be closer. At least
To be fair, I had done Little Sugar 2 weeks before.
2 weeks.
So,
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you crap. But
did Barry do did Barry do BT?
Mhm.
Okay, and Zach didn't.
no, Zach did,
Zach did. Okay,
I
Nate,
did.
and Nate didn't.
and Nate didn't. But he did Little Sugar
2 weeks before. Okay,
2 weeks before, and
That's
Michael
not even-
Morris did.
but you had a
that
week
was
to
expert
recover.
schedule. Yeah, I had
That's
expert
not
schedule planning, you know?
Yeah, he had this is a race. He had this booked in the Training Peaks. 2 weeks. to
Circled.
prepare. Did you taper down for it a little bit, or?
He skipped a mountain bike ride with his buddies.
I
Okay.
did.
Yeah.
But I did the mountain bike ride the day before that ride, so I
That was
was
just the
just being
opener.
smart. I did do opener the day before on the trainer, so I tapered a little bit, but there was a lot on the line for the Grand Prix, so
Yeah.
Well, it paid off.
Did you taper more or less than you did for Gateway?
more. There was no taper for Gateway.
Just went in hot.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so let's see, Gabe. When I saw you when I was hanging out down by the lake, and you come by, and almost everybody who came by would look like they're having fun. But Gabe, you didn't. You didn't seem like you were having fun. You said something along the. I don't even know what you said, but it was not positive. It was something along the lines of, I don't know. It was.
Yeah, I felt pretty flat from the beginning. Like, I knew 3 pedal strokes in, like, this is not going to go very well. I mean, in reality, it did go pretty well. I think I tied my fastest race loop I've ever done out there, and I've only ever raced 2 laps ever out there. So I don't know. I guess I was performing decently, but I just felt really bad. Like, I got dropped pretty much going into the volunteer downhill section after the first road. I was probably 7 to 10 seconds behind, I would guess. So I was struggling.
Yeah, Zach dropped the hammer going up that road. That little, I wouldn't call it a climb, but
It's a
not
false
flat.
flat. It's not.
yeah, it's false
not
flat. Yeah, we probably held 400 watts through that section, and Zach just would not let up. But I was like, if there's any chance, now is the time to stay on it. But the hard part was you had 4 guys wearing the same bike surgeon kit, and I couldn't look behind because all I was worried about was Gabe, and I was like, is that Gabe behind me? Is that Gabe behind me? And it would be Michael or Barry or you just couldn't figure out who it was.
That's always a challenge. It happens in road racing a lot too, where you look back and you're like, is that who I'm? No, that's not who I'm marking. Try again. Go back to the back, find that person again, and then get on their wheel and lather, rinse, and repeat. It's fun though.
I looked down at that first, I don't know, right till we got to volunteer, and it was 190 heart rate. I was just glad that I wasn't the only one hurting because we went out pretty fast.
It's good.
Sorry,
I
I
like to watch
missed
that.
all that. I had people trick-or-treating, and I don't have a light on.
They
dogs
just
are-
wanted some candy. Looked like a good house to get candy from. Hank, you seemed very positive, Hank, when you came by. Justin did too. We'll get to Justin in a minute. You seem like you're having fun, Justin. Hank, you seem like you were really having fun when you came by. You look like you were on the rivet in a positive way.
No, I was kind of laughing at my plight. I couldn't shift gears. Halfway through that second lap, I was feeling pretty good. Everything was going according to my plan, but halfway through the second lap, I couldn't keep it in gear. It just kept on popping out and going back and forth. And coming up out of Catalyst, I crashed because it ground gears on me, one of those little steep little switchbacks going up, and I went down. I'll have my video out next week sometime, but yeah, I tumped it over. And so I was walling around for about 45 seconds, licking my wounds. And after that, I had to keep my thumb. had to keep pressure on the lever. I'll tell you what happened after the race. I looked at my bike. The derailleur was becoming unscrewed, and it had about one revolution left, and the derailleur would have come off all the way by the end.
Wow. Yeah.
I went through and I cleaned my bike beforehand, and I kind of do a nut and bolt check before a race, and I just didn't see it. I just didn't see that was, well, it didn't do it the first loop at all. It was fine. It was midway through that second loop, so something happened. But anyway, so while I'm chasing, I don't remember, Corey, I think was his name, right in front of me.
Yeah.
You know, I was like one switch back behind him coming up before I crashed, and then he just got away, and I didn't see him, so I just had to pick a gear and smash it the whole way on that gravel road as fast as I could. And I caught him, I think, right before you saw me again, Matt. So I was happy to see him, but I didn't have a big selection of gears at that point. So I just sat behind him and hung on until we got to the final climb. And then I got into a big gear, keep my thumb on that lever to hold it in gear, and I made it up the hill faster than him. So I was pretty happy at the end with how it ended up. But could I have been a minute or two faster? Maybe. But overall, it was good. I got fourth in the intermediate or the sport group, which last year I think I was 10th, and the year before that I think I was last 2 or 3. So making my way up slowly, and now that Austin is going to bump up to expert next year, then maybe I can get on that podium.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
If everybody else bumps up, because I'm a Cat 2 guy. I'm not a Cat 1 guy.
Well, I was going to bring that up when we were talking everything. It's weird with the classifications because it's not like a strictly like how UCI.
Yeah, it's self-selected.
Yeah, would class it, because I've raced some Cat 2 UCI races, and I'm very mid-pack, like when I've raced some Cat 2 stuff, and
Same.
and so
Why would I
for
put
sure.
myself in a class with Zach?
Yeah. You know, if we're, what's the law of, like I've beat Barry and Barry's beat, you know, everyone. So I should be able to beat Zach or something.
Right.
I don't know
That
if
would
that's, yeah. Is that how that works?
Drew Dillman logic.
I ride with Zach a lot, so I don't have that mindset.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, we get beat by Zach every day. It's nothing new.
No.
Man, watching your video, Nate, it was interesting to me. Like, you know, I didn't sit and watch the entire thing through, but I watched a lot of segments and watching you watched the whole thing through.
I had to see what lines they were taking.
You know, I there was one I saw you kind of slightly, I wouldn't say you bobbled the corner, but you went a little wide. And you lost a lot of ground to Zach. Like, and you know, like every foot seemed to matter. You know, I mean, you were like 2 foot away, and then you were like 12 foot away from just going a little wide around the corner, and he took it really tight. And I was just amazed by how you know, like that critical that was.
Yeah, at that speed, like it's momentum. Like a lot of that trail changes directions quite a bit, especially I think was right before you get to Catalyst, and this is one of the flowier sections, and I just stuck the front wheel off in the leaves and about lost it, and the next thing you know, you look back up and he's got 10 bike links on you just from a slight bobble, like I come out of my cleat, and you know, at that point you kind of start to panic. But yeah, line choice, and you could see it. I think you could probably see it in the beginning. There was a bunch of acorns on the trail early on, and you know, Zach actually bobbled like right off the bat, and then it was the same story. Like we instantly closed right up on him. So I think especially that first lap, there was a kind of a battle of going as hard as you could, but I bobbled, Zach bobbled, and then I think Barry actually crashed at one point. He lost track of us. You know, we heard something, but it's hard to, like, at that speed to really look back. But yeah, that first lap was a little bit hairy as far as, you know, everybody's nerves are kind of high. You're feeling everybody out. Your heart rate's already pegged out. So there was quite a few mistakes early on, and it was just a little bit of cat and mouse, just trying to feel everybody out.
I messed up that turn as well. I didn't bobble it quite as hard as you did going into that catalyst, like going up before you go across the road there, just on that little turn. And I was like, oh, he messed up right there too. I kind of did as well. I about ate it on the going into catalyst, that right-hander with the cut through. And I was watching the video. I was like, I wonder if any of them are going to kind of wash the front right there like I did. But
isn't that what you did last year too, going into Catalyst? That was the only thing going through my head, because I remember you crashing there. I was like, do not lose the front end right here.
Yeah, I definitely slid on the first lap. And then, like you said, once everyone had kind of gone through, like the second lap, I feel like I rode minutes faster. At least it felt like that, because it was just so much more confident, because the dirt was there. Everything kind of got blown off the trail from everyone coming through the track.
So I was looking at some segments just out of curiosity here. And the first one I looked at was the climb, the Indian Creek climb, which I was really surprised to see that Barry on October 2nd, like, did that at 12.7 miles an hour, whereas everybody in the race, Zach was the fastest in the race at 10.1, and then Nate was right behind him at 9.7 miles an hour at 190 beats per minute. So that's the highest heart rate output for that segment, and then I guess probably winning the power output with the real power meter on his mountain bike is Gabe with 359 watts for 3 minutes. So, and I always feel like that climb is pretty decisive. I don't know if it is, because I've never been like
I don't know
fast race there.
I don't know if it actually is. I think you can definitely lose ground there. I don't think any.
That's where
I feel like any time I've been in a group there, it's not. No one. I feel like pushes like super hard up that. I don't feel like anyone's making moves up that. I don't know. Maybe Nate or Austin. I don't know. You guys have chased or been behind on that and been in groups as well, and in front. I don't know if you guys have pushed on that necessarily. I know Justin did once in a race like a couple years ago, because he caught me at the top and he was minutes behind, so he must have pushed really hard up there.
Well, I was still worried that Zach was going to be like head and shoulders above everybody, so I was really surprised when he didn't. I thought he was going to attack us right there, so I was going as hard as I could to like try to minimize anything, because I knew if we got out on that gravel road and we weren't with him, like, he was just going to walk off from us. So at least from my point of view, I had like a huge sense of urgency, and I was probably the worst climber in that group. So I was a little bit worried. So I went harder than what I probably normally would have. And I think my other two climbs were significantly slower, like 30 seconds slower. So,
and then I want to congratulate Hank, 10th place on the segment, on the race, and ahead of Justin. So Justin, you want to comment on that? Hank beat you up that climb?
Yeah, I had a big gap in front, big gap behind. I was just kind of out for a good mountain bike ride is really what it was. I was after Austin left me, I was just like, okay, slow is smooth is fast, pedal around and just try to get my.
That's just the worst place to be. Just no man's land.
Yeah, I liked it because I'm not a good mountain biker anyway, so I don't want to crash. I don't want to feel the pressure. I don't want to feel the pressure of like having to ride super well, especially when I haven't been on the mountain bike in a while. So being in kind of no man's land and just being able to take whatever line I want, and if somebody's closing in on me, I probably had enough power to get away. But I was just trying to have a good ride, just a fun ride.
So something else. Go ahead, Hank.
I think I did well was that Fire Road downhill, that double track section.
Yeah.
I went all out my first lap, and I was going to do it the second lap, but I couldn't because I didn't have the gears for it. But I think I put down a fast time on that one.
Now, I heard you tell a guy you were cruising the first lap, and then you were going to go for the second one.
I was, until my derailleur started messing up.
something
Well,
I thought was fascinating too about this. You guys basically had the
seconds.
same time up at 1 second difference, but Hank, your heart rate was like 10 beats lower. So you were I don't know. You got the older heart, must be fitter than Justin's or something. I don't know. Maybe the full suspension bike is more efficient up the climb. Don't know.
I think the toughest climb on that course is on rocky ledges.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Oh, really?
descent. I mean, I just stand up and go up that, but it's seemingly.
I think the climb out of Catalyst is significantly worse.
See, I don't know where any of this is. Like,
So
I know
Austin.
this is, but like when y'all say start a catalyst, I have no clue where.
So
where it is.
the rocky ledges, you like descend and you go by the lake.
I know. I'm familiar with rocky ledges.
And then that climb there, but
That's
then the
just
catalyst.
straight. That climb's just straight up, isn't it?
There's a route right in the middle of it too that you got to.
You should remember it. You got dropped on it last year.
Oh, I remember the rocky ledges climb. That's the only one I know. Like when Indian Creek, I don't know that one.
That's on. So the catalyst loop is the big loop that we do.
So
You cross the creek and then you do a switchback climb.
okay, yeah. So like
And
whenever you first, like when we start the race and we go down through that first like the first dirt section, then you come to like a cabin and then you climb up the road and then you go into trails there. What is that?
That is volunteer.
Okay, so catalyst
That's where the
is after you
skinnies are.
cross the road the second time.
Yeah.
Catalyst is where you cross the gravel path, you hang the right hand turn. It's all downhill for a while. Rock garden,
Okay, yeah.
creek crossing, back up to the top, back onto the gravel road.
All right, so it's a big switchback climb. That's the one you're talking
Yes.
about, climbing out of Catalyst to the gravel road.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the only true loop out there, or bigger loop.
Didn't Nate crash
That's
Yeah, up the
Maybe.
climb. I've seen a lot of people
there?
eat it on that
Can
thing.
you walk us through that? What happened there?
Yeah, I surely can walk you through it. It was pretty dumb on my part. But Zach, when I caught Zach, like he was going a lot slower than what I was. And he wouldn't let me around, and I was never gonna ask Zach to let me go around him because I didn't want to like poke the beehive. So when he finally, like, we did all the flowy stuff, fast stuff down Catalyst, he let me go at the bottom where we start climbing up, and obviously he's going to be faster than me. So I like try to get back on pace. Well, it was long enough for him to recover, and I just couldn't get away. And I would try to test him every, couple minutes to see how he was really feeling. Well, we got to that creek and he was still there. I was like, well, my only chance is to try to keep him behind me and not burn all my matches up this climb. So we got to like that very last switchback, and I shifted way down just to try to spin up it and try to conserve what energy I had left. And I went right around that corner and I took a pedal stroke, and there was nothing there because I shifted down like 5 gears, and I just basically came to a stop and fell over. Yep. Like an idiot.
I hate when that happens.
And he's like, "Oh, are you okay? Oh, let me just take off now after letting you burn all your matches."
You did get up really slow. I watched the video and I was like,
my calf.
Slow.
My left calf was cramped. As soon as I felt like I didn't have any issues with cramping all day long, but as soon as I fell over, like my calf cramped and I was started to panic. I was like, "Oh, here we go. He's gone."
And you thought I was coming.
And I thought, yeah. I was like, "Oh God, what am I gonna do?"
So this led to Gabe calculating the results of the Grand Prix. I've got it right here in front of me, and I'm a little surprised, not by the top three, really. The top three, Zach, Nate, and Barry. Congratulations, Nate. That's a huge accomplishment. Second place in the Soil Grand Prix. Our 4-race series. Now, how'd you do Klaus? Like, it didn't count exactly, or it did count? I wasn't sure. You got an asterisk by it. It replaces something?
If you missed Glendale, you could get a result there. It should probably be weighted a little different, like weighted heavier for Glendale, but, there's probably, you could have shown up to Klaus like Justin did, and Justin did a decent result there, but he only scored 2 points there because out of all the people that showed up, he got second place. So Klaus was weighted really high if you did well there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, you for sure scored the Dirty South Roubaix, and then you were scored on Glendale, but if you missed Glendale, you could make it up on Klaus.
And Barry, third place, based on pretty good results, across the whole thing. If you look at third place in Vegas, winning Spooky, did not start Klaus, and not a great result in Dirty South, but strong mountain bike finishes. Austin, where do you fall on here? You're below me?
He actually has an asterisk. He's supposed to actually be disqualified for not finishing. The Excel is a little bit wrong there.
Yeah.
So he would finish by Sean Hargis.
Yeah.
But
and yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna send this in to review to some mathematicians or something and see if they can figure out. I'm just glad to say I made top 10 in the Soil Grand Prix. See what kind of sponsors I can pull up. Now, I didn't actually ever get top 10 in any individual event, and I only finished 2 of the events. Hey, so congratulations on top. What are you, top 5? You're 6th place. Yeah, good job.
Can I point something out really fast on this?
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm not even getting this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're 5th place. Yeah, way to go. Yeah, go ahead.
So if someone's listening to this and you did 3 of these races, let me know and I will look up your results and try to fit you into here. After Dirty South, I pretty much just said, who is potentially going to do all these races? And I put you in there. It's possible that I missed someone, Yeah.
Yeah, I bet there's other people who will move up the list if they knew about it and got on the list. And it was open. You put out a post and you could join this if you wanted, right?
Mm-hmm. I had a few people reach out. They're like, "Hey, yeah, I think I'm going to do some of these." So
cool.
So there's 22 people in it right now.
Awesome. We're going to do it next year?
Sure.
Is there any way to expand this? You guys don't have any races in Western Kentucky, do you?
We haven't recently, no.
Yeah.
Are y'all bringing back White Lightning? Or
There are talks about some of the older wooden waivers that are getting back into riding. Are thinking or hoping to bring that back. That would be a good one. Just so we would have a race on our turf that we ride all the time. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think bringing that back, or maybe 12 hours at the canal or whatever.
Yeah, I think both of those would be awesome. And me and Gabe talked to can't remember his name.
Brian.
SIU. And maybe we can get something going with a race at the canal and a race at at Touch of Nature, and we can include that maybe in the Grand Prix.
That'd be a fun weekend.
I don't think the Bike Surgeon O'Fallon races will be ever coming back. The Camp on the Sonk race, which is kind of sad. The gravel races that they put on. Talking to John Greenstreet, it didn't seem like he had any interest in promoting events or races like that in the future. So I don't see those coming back. And then road races, I don't really see unless the Geo makes a spontaneous comeback like the Phoenix from the Flames.
Dude, I would love to bring the Geo back. Race. I would love to bring the Geo back.
Yeah.
Don't have time.
From what I understand, the races at Race of the Canal or White Lightning, with it being federal property, there's a lot of crazy permits that have to happen to have races there. And so I think that's one of the big hangups on why people aren't crazy about getting that race back. Now we've got BBMT and we have Livingston County Trail System that aren't on those, but they're not near as fun to race.
Yeah, that Livingston County Trail, I bet you could put together a cool course that might have some gravel and some
They
Otherwise,
just did
it'd be
a
a
Nike race there.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I was actually going to bring that up, Austin. Do you think? So we were talking about why there might not be a lot of people at the Spooky race. It's of course like a busy time of the year, but also NICA is going on right now.
Yep.
And at Glendale, we have, it's actually kind of cool. There's Kentucky kids that show up. There's kids from Missouri that show up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like we're in Southern Illinois, right in between, there's 4 states right here. And that's why I think this is a great area. But do you think, that the time of year for Spooky is maybe not correct?
Well, the time of year for like the conditions are awesome.
Yeah.
Not racing at 100 degrees is pretty cool. But this particular time, like we've got 2 kids at the shop that race NICA that they raced at Glen Vegas. I think they got first and second in sport.
Mm-hmm.
But they were both, they had like that weekend was also the state championship race in Owensboro for NICA. So, yes, the date, it's a busier time, but it's also the best time to have a mountain bike race too.
Can we just have spring mountain bike races so that way I don't have to go in cross season?
Yeah.
Spring is fun.
Yeah.
I think.
I think spring is the best time because it's kind of cold but kind of warm, and it can be just a complete crapshoot the same as fall.
I mean, in reality, we used to have the May or early June race at Touch of Nature, and it was awesome because you could race, and then like there's the lake right there. Everyone if you knew about it, we always used to have like a hang out by Rocky Ledges and like swim and stuff like that. But it's also a busy time of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 big Big Sugar was. Yeah, you had 3 big races within 2 weeks. So you have Little Sugar, BT Epic, and Big Sugar.
And Spooky Catalyst.
And
That's
the same breath.
That's the biggest race on my calendar.
The only race.
Put it in there next year. A race.
That's right.
Yeah, I do. I don't know if it's a worthy topic or not, but I know everyone from Kentucky that shows up is always like, man, the Catalyst race is an awesome course. And I think maybe we take it a little bit for granted. Why do you think it's such a good course?
We talk about this quite often, and we get I've had a lot of people in the shop that have come in like, hey, where is Touch of Nature? I've never even heard of it. And, up until last year, I hadn't been there either. Like the first Catalyst race is the first time I've been to Touch of Nature. But it's got a little bit of everything. Like it's fast and it's flowy, but it's got some tech sections. It's got some rock gardens. So like when I try to explain it to somebody, I'm like, it's a mix between Glendale and the Canal Loop. It's a faster Glendale. I just really enjoy it. The downside is it's an hour and 10 minutes from the store, which is where we kind of take off. That's our kind of meeting spot. But me and Nate were talking if we could get some of our, local guys out to Catalyst to race, like Kevin Bohannon, Gary Collins, that Wooden Wave group. But like you guys said, BT Epic was the weekend before. They both raced that. They both raced Big Sugar. So it's like, and that's, I don't think that's anybody's fault. It would be cool to get a lot of our guys out there too. It would definitely, also bring the competition level up quite a bit too.
That's exactly. I've heard a lot of complaints from some of the locals in this area saying that Touch of Nature is too easy. There's not enough technical things there. And I'm just like, well, let's go ride let's go do loops on Rocky Ledges. Like, let's go ride some of the things that aren't volunteer.
Where were they for Glendale then?
Yeah, exactly.
They're the old school Glendale heads is who they are.
So I can explain this a little bit. They're not riding very fast. And so, if you go ride Glendale, like at the pace I was riding, and I was, I was chilling at the back trying not to pass people. It's pretty, not Glendale, Touch of Nature. If you ride that at a pretty slow pace, it's not very difficult. Whereas there's some trails in the Shawnee that, it's impossible to ride at anything other than a slow pace, and it can be difficult. But yeah, it's like I had a discussion with an old school Shawnee rider about suspension, and I was trying to explain to him how that kept the bike on the ground. It was like their idea about suspension was it was more about absorbing the I don't know. It was just like they had the very different idea about the way I think suspension is actually supposed to work. Actually keep the bike planted to the ground at 15, 16 miles an hour and not like absorbing bumps when you're going 4 miles an hour, which is the way it works for me. So anyway, I think, people that think it's easy, maybe haven't gone out there and tried to actually race it.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think that, it does have easier sections, but then it also has some technical sections. Like some of those creek crossings are not trivial by any stretch of the imagination, especially a lot of them are going downhill into the creek. And then especially rocky ledges, the first entrance into it. And then after you make the hairpins or go across the bridge, that little section there's rock. Like, that's what Austin was saying. There's a little bit of everything. Like there's some fast, flowy sections. There's some slower, technical. There's rocky sections. I mean, that's what to me makes that race so fun. Like
even the roads.
Even the roads
make it good.
Yeah, the gravel section. Yeah, they hurt. Like
that fire road. I mean, that's really cool. That fire road section is really unique. And that's one of my favorite parts of the race because I just rail that thing and really enjoy that. But that kind of goes back to the point of my video, which kind of brought up a hiking with Sean response, who I don't really want to get too much into. But my video, I was like, man, we have like 29 people here. And I know a lot of people come ride this and stuff. And I know a lot of people had other things going on. And, I wasn't really calling anybody out, but I'm like, man, this trail is so awesome. We're so lucky to have it. People ought to come support it. And when they do an event like that, and I think they've tried a lot of different things to make it as, maybe they've made it too friendly. I don't know, but they've tried a lot of different ways to try to make it work for people. And I remember the first one was huge. I felt like it was a pretty big turnout for their first event, and it hasn't really grown. And, when you get 20, 30, less than 30 entries or whatever, I'm like, man.
Well, I think we had more at Glendale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had more. Right. Yeah, there was more at Glendale for sure.
I think at Glendale we have a lot, 40-ish, 50 maybe.
And this is like Southern Illinois' premier trail. So, Sean was like, well, you guys got to do a better job with the community. He sent, a list of things we should try to do better. And I'm like, we do all that stuff. I mean, we're already doing all that. At some point, people have to like kind of step up and say like, hey, I'm going to go to that race. Like, and like the dude like Matt Johnson, who I hung out with and talked to, he come to the race. He didn't do the race because he's not a mountain biker. But he come to the race to like hang out, see the vibe, and support it, which is awesome. People need to support these events. We got a lot of different groups and individuals in the area that kind of they have their thing, but then it's like just their thing, and then it's like, oh, I'll do my thing and my events, and and like there's got to be some crossover, and anyway, and then of course there's people who don't mountain bike, so. That's like their problem, but anyway,
I do have an opinion on it. I think the only thing that it has going against it is somewhat of like an event fatigue. Like, you've had a bunch of these people that are serious about showing up for races have, been to so many races throughout the year.
Yeah.
And it was just ill timing that we had a bunch of big events right there. So like everybody at that point's kind of shutting it down for the season.
Yeah.
And, calling it wraps. Whereas like, you're right, Glen Vegas outperformed on there was chances of rain that morning. We got a little bit of sprinkles. Yeah. So, but that was like kind of, in the middle of nowhere. But you're like building up in the season at that point where Glen Vegas is happening. Like you're on the ramp up, you're coming off a Dirty South, like everybody's starting to ride again. So an event that should technically do worse did pretty well compared to Spooky.
So you think it's a full timing thing?
I think
partly.
I won't say it's all of it, but I think it's a chunk of it.
Yeah.
Like for sure, I think I'm not going to go into super big details, but for sure there's some administrative things that could probably be done differently. And I think will be done differently in the future. But I do think as awesome as it is in the time of the year to ride, and I think it's a cool concept, the Spooky. Yeah, it just falls in a weird time of the year that most people like. This is, I know, my last race of the year, probably besides Justin that's racing cyclocross. I don't have anything till Dirty South. And then
I'm still ramping till December, baby.
I'm pretty burnt out almost by this point. And probably, I don't know if Austin and them are, like, I run 2-3 group rides a week and stuff like that. It's like by the time this time of the year, I think most people are like, yeah, it's time to kind of at least settle down for a little bit.
You guys have other events before Spooky?
Just Glendale. So there was like nothing besides, just like bigger group rides.
Yeah.
After April.
I wasn't aware of
nothing.
any races other than Spooky Catalyst.
No, yeah, this year there's just the only thing that the shop is associated with on my end is Dirty South and Glen Vegas.
So let's just say, I don't know, do you think they'll do another Spooky next year, or are they thinking about maybe changing the time?
I don't think there's going to be a Spooky unless the community wants there to be one.
Yeah. I really hope I think it was cool to do a series there, or at least 2 races there, do a spring and an early fall maybe. And then, yeah, as far as like the Spooky aspect of it, I think that's great maybe, but I don't think that's really bringing anybody, like the costume part that none of us are, well, we're old dorks.
Hey, put it back on.
I don't know. I don't want to say, but whatever. I'm definitely hoping that the race gets some support and, and that, that something happens there. So, let's move on to Hank. Hank, you had a great video, senior games and this was a really interesting race video for me to watch because you were, it was like a mass start road race and you're racing against women. And I was like, hey, there's a woman there. And so it's a little bit different from say a road race that's, you might go UCI crit or something, or a USAC crit.
Yeah, it was a mass start for the senior games. This is my second time doing the road race there. But this is the first time it was a national qualifier because they do nationals every other year. But every year, Illinois does one, and so every other year is a qualifier. So I did the road race last year in the time trial, and so I went into it thinking I had a good idea of what it was going to be like. But it turns out when it's a qualifier for nationals, a lot more people come out, and they're a lot faster. So it was a tough race. Yeah, and the top woman, you saw her pull away from me at the end there. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, she was fast. Last year we dropped her off about 2 miles before the end when we really picked up the pace, and this year, there she was dropping me. And
I was watching that, and I was like, "Oh, that woman is out sprinting Hank." And I was like, "Dang, she must be fast," because you're a sprinter, you're a strong sprinter.
Yeah, if you watch that video, which was fun, because I had the 360 on the front and I had a GoPro on the rear. If you watch the whole video, you'll see there's a section where I get in the front. That's 1.5 miles downhill. It's like a 6-section downhill. And I drove the course beforehand, and they had put down oil and chip. And so a lot of the guys were nervous. I heard them talking. They're running 25 millimeter tires with 95 psi, and some of them don't do gravel at all. And I'm pretty comfortable on gravel, and I had 32 millimeter tubeless. So I was like, okay, I can handle this. So I dropped my pressure a little bit down to 55. And I knew when we hit that gravel, that big downhill, I wanted to be in the front, just in case someone was nervous and someone got out of control. I wanted them to be behind me somewhere. So yeah, I put in that effort only because it was downhill, only because it was gravel. And so I put in just enough work to keep everybody behind me. I think someone passed me right at the end. But that was on purpose. I wasn't out in the wind or anything. That was all downhill. So that was my strategy based off of the ride that morning. And then there's a hill after that. And so we just kind of hung in a pack after that, and we came into the end. In retrospect, you watch it and you think, oh, they come in as a big pack. Just sit in till the end and sprint. So when you guys watch the video, you'd be like, why didn't I just sit in the whole time and sprint? Well, last year we got strung out at the end. So last mile, we were down to 4 or 5 people. And we were in a pace line just trying to crush each other. So I in my mind, it was going to be a finish more like that. And I thought the guy in front of me, I thought his move was going to start that process. But that move was it. That was my last match. I closed the gap on him. And then after that, we got swamped by the mob. And that was it.
Yeah, you got counterattacked right off. As soon as you closed the gap, somebody like 5 seconds later just started going. And after you burned that match.
Yep, it was. I didn't have enough time to recover at that point, and so when they surged ahead, I was like, "Well, this is all I got," and so I got a good view of the finish from the back of the pack. But lessons learned. I still qualified for nationals, which was my overarching goal, and learn a little bit each time. And so next year, I won't follow. I'll try to stay with the pack as far as possible, unless there's some amazing opportunity, because I want to do well at nationals. I don't want to travel and do all that work and do all those things and blow up at the end like that. So
did you have to petition that, didn't you say, or something? There was some controversy.
Yeah, the timing chip didn't pick me up when I came in, so we had to go back and review video and stuff. And because at actual finish, so the top 20 of us all came in within a few seconds of each other. But they had me when I went down the road and turned around and came back. Then it caught me coming back. So, 15 seconds later, it picked up my timing chip. So I just had to correct that and watch some videos to see where I was. But they corrected that, and it was fine.
Did you want it to come down to a sprint?
I did, and I wanted to be there to contest it. And, well, you saw the video. You see what happened.
I think you need to do more work with Nate. Nate's the big sprinter in the area.
Yeah, I know.
I'm down in Metropolis.
Out sprinting Justin.
I only had that one critique because you put yourself on the line for 20 other guys to close that gap.
Yeah, I know.
That one hurt. I could just I was sitting there. My heart was beating when you were trying to close that gap. I was like, this is an effort.
I knew that he was one of the top guys. I had got some intel, and he was one of the guys to watch out for. And if you watch the video, I watched him looking around. He was in the middle, and I saw him looking and looking and looking, and I was like, all right, he's getting ready to go for it. And he got away kind of quick. I was hoping to close up and get on his wheel before he took off.
Like in that situation, because like I could see it not really being a mistake, because if you think, okay, that guy's going off, I'm going to bridge to him and I'll at least get second. Did you ever think to look behind you? It's really hard to do, I'm sure. I mean, like I don't think I would. I know I would.
When I catch up to him, it looks like I'm in the front, and I'm not really, because the wind was coming right to left in that finishing 2-mile stretch. Right to left is 12 to 15 mile an hour wind straight out of the south. So I'm still catching a draft when he's sitting right next to me. So I never got in front of him, and I never took the lead for the whole pack in that section right there. It just looks like I did for a little bit. That's the way the wind was. And when in that north section, I was riding in the gravel right along the edge the whole time. That's because the wind was out of my left. So. But so I didn't look back. Didn't really matter at that point. I was cooked. My heart rate was way too high for that point. And boy, in retrospect, it's easy to say. I could tell myself, why didn't I just sit in the pack, let the other guys close the gap, and then I'd have my sprint left over. And
it's always tough. I fall for that all the time in the gravel races. I pull way too much. But I was going to say, with your particular race, was it tough? It being mass start, but also results were age group. So was that due up front in your age group?
I don't know what age group he was in.
I guess that would be the question, is that you probably have to do intel on everyone that is in that, because if he's not in your age group, there's absolutely no reason
to let him go.
Just let him go. We can make someone else.
I wanted to race the whole thing now. Right.
That makes sense. It's tough, even, I've definitely been in some races where I've sprinted some guys and then we look at each other, we're like, we're not even racing each other.
So I will say this is a big problem in a lot of racing where you have two or three categories all racing together, scored separately. And my biggest critique, I've been in a lot of races like that, and my biggest critique of that is just either give us all a set of numbers, like everybody in this race is 700s, everybody in this race is 600s, everybody in this race is 400s, or give us different colors.
Yeah. When I used to triathlon,
just make it easy on us so that way we know who we're racing.
Yeah, they used to put the your age group on the back of your calf.
Oh, so like you could have number colors too, like a red bib or a yellow bib or a green bib for each category.
Yeah.
It's funny. You're older than me, and just looking at you guys, I look like the oldest. I think if maybe I do, but I'm not old enough for senior games. You got to be 50, right?
Yeah.
So I can join you in the senior games in 4 years, but I'm pretty soon 4. But so you're going to Iowa same time next year?
July, end of July.
End of July next year. Okay.
Yeah, they race them in separate categories, so it will not be a big mass start. It will be by age group at that event.
Cool. Time for Hank to retire and put in the miles. 20 hours a week, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Are you planning on getting even more in depth with training?
For me, sure.
Yeah. Next year I want to go deeper.
If I'm going to nationals, I want to do well. Like that's my race next year. I'll still do Glendale and probably the half 30 in the spring, but that's my race. That's the senior games. So I'm doing the time trial, probably the 5 and the 10K time trials, which are on a Wednesday and a Thursday, I think, and then the road ride is on Saturday.
Oh, that's gonna be a whole lot nicer where you don't have to do like the time trial in the morning and then.
Yeah, the Illinois one, I do the time trial, and then 90 minutes later, I'm racing the road race. These will be separate days. So,
will you need a soigneur on that? Like somebody to chamois up your shorts or something? I cream them up with the chamois butter. I'll go and just help you out with all that kind of stuff. Buy me lunch or something. And
maybe.
He said he massage the taint. It's fine.
Get you massaged up before the race. I'll be over there. Let's talk. We're about out of time here. We've been going for a while, but I want to talk training plans real quick. We just brought it up. I was talking to Matt Johnson. I was trying to talk this guy. I rode with him this Sunday, and I was trying to convince him he could do the Dirty South next year. He said that was something he'd really like to do. He just bought him a new gravel bike. He bought that new aluminum Crux. And that was a sweet gravel bike. And I was like, well, why wouldn't you? And he's like, I don't know, if I can do that race. And I'm like, so my training plan, I told him, I said, ride hard twice a week and easy 3 or 4 times. Does that sound like a good training plan? Would you follow that? That's my training plan. Hard twice a week and then the rest of the week easy.
Unless you're Austin.
Yeah,
that's about
no training.
No training, just ride.
You just ride your bike. You have fun with your friends, and then you go race whenever one comes up.
Do you never think at all about that kind of stuff?
Nate will sometimes say something to me, but I'm like, nah, I'm just riding my bike.
Just riding your bikes.
He tells me not to worry about his training, so.
Doesn't work later.
Well, AWOL said I need to get my act together, get some consistency. AWOL posted, he let me know I need to get some consistency and start set some goals. And so I was going to work on that. I don't know, but I feel like Dirty South, at least I was trying to talk Matt into doing it. And I was like, man, I think if you ride 6, cause he was telling me he basically just rides 1 day a week. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you got to ride more than 1 day a week, but like ride a couple hour hard a couple times a week and then just go out and cruise. It's not like, I don't think you need to overthink it. I'm a lot like Austin. I just ride and have fun, try to ride hard when I feel like it. And then, like training isn't something I think a whole lot about.
Yeah. I like the 2 days a week. I usually do 2 days a week of hard intervals of some sort, and then 2 days a week of zone 2. And if I do a third day, it's usually zone 2 as well. Just a moderate pace. But really, I can't recover if I do too many days a week. I start to run into trouble, and then my hard training days, I can't spin up. I can't spin up well enough. So interval per week of the different types, and then 2 or 3 zone 2 rides is kind of what I generally go for.
Mine depends on the time of year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a training plan, but just with like our weekly group rides, it ends up being 2 hard rides, and then I do a bunch of coffee rides and stuff like that. So it still does end up being probably like most people's training plan, but I don't think about it.
Nate, you think hard about it?
Yes.
There's 2 days a week. And they're Monday and Thursday.
Yeah.
And that's for most of the season. It'll stay Monday, Thursday, and then getting closer to an A event, Saturdays will then turn into a long tempo day instead of a long zone 2. So I'll try to get more zone 3, zone 4 on the weekend on normally Saturday, but that's used in reserve for like the last 4 weeks building into like when I did Lutsen or Little Sugar, because it's pretty easy to get fried pretty quick doing 3 moderate intensity days. So I try not to abuse it.
Yeah, all friends are out the window.
Are you good? Are you sticking with Trainer Road? I saw you on Trainer Road some. Is that pretty key to you, or is that something that could go?
So I don't really abide by their plans so much. I do normally I use it because they have a really good library of workouts, and they actually rate their intensity, or not intensity, but they have like a training score associated with each workout. And so you can easily add in so if I wanted to focus on VO2 max, they make it easy. Like they have progressions to their VO2 max workouts. So I can pick a VO2 max workout, and then the next week I can add a little bit of TSS to that VO2 max workout, and it's a little bit easier to add or make progression week to week. But as far as actually following their training plans, I rarely use it. I just do my zone. If you look, most of my zone 2 rides are on Zwift, and then my intervals are done on Trainer Road.
I just want to say, I apologize to anyone that has no idea what any of that means.
What a TSS is, yes.
Yeah.
Hey, our listeners are they're keyed in on this stuff, man. I get emails all the time. They're like, "Hey, we want to know about TSS. We want to know what you guys are riding. You guys are pretty hot, in the scene." Matt Johnson, I know he'll listen to this. He'll like the name drop. He listens to every episode. That's what he told me. So
No,
kind of like
Renee,
us.
this might be all the listeners that we actually have on one podcast. That's the goal. Ultimately, we'll have like 40 people on the podcast. That'll be every listener.
Well, that's what I was talking about. The
Tell them to win
Discord.
Dirty South.
Yeah.
So
I guess
I don't know. My training is like, it's got to be 2 really hard days, like above threshold. Like it's got to be above threshold if I'm gonna have a hard day. I do a very few like moderate intensity, so like threshold efforts. I might do those once a week if I can't get the leg spun up for like VO2 max work, and then the rest of the time I'll go right at the coffee stop, go see Gabe, just right from the house, go see Gabe. That's 40 minutes to and from.
I also think
Nice
it
to meet
depends on the time of the year. Like when it gets closer and closer to race time, then it's more and more above threshold. But like right now, or come December, it'll be zone 2, some long zone 3 intervals, maybe sprinkling in some VO2 max. But once again, you can quickly burn yourself on those high intensities.
Nate, I guess you probably have the biggest goals of probably any of us. Maybe Hank, you're planning on doing Leadville this next year. So that's like a really big goal, So are you taking any sort of off season? Like your season's really long. I I think most of us experienced that this year. Really long season. So you did qualifiers and all these races, and now is this an off season? And then you have your big race, what, in 6 months?
So Leadville will be in August. So I'm planning on just kind of shutting it down between now and January. But I'm still going to ride Zwift and try to put in like 8 hours a week. I'll probably take some breaks here and there. Just the mental fatigue has been just as bad as the physical fatigue. But right now it's like perfect weather. So we've just been going out and having fun. So that's kind of my focus right now, is just go out, have some fun, not really try to think about any structure or anything.
Yeah.
I do want to try to lose some weight between now and January, but sometime I said it was going to be beginning of January and then give it a full 8 months, but I may start at the end of January and then start my build for Leadville then.
It's tough for us that are probably Dirty South Roubaix is like an A race. It's like that creeps up. I've been talking to people that have been coming into the shop. That creeps up fast. I guess say something.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
That's the beginning of March. So
yeah. I'm already thinking about it. I'm like, that's not that long from now.
I think this year Nate's got a girlfriend, so we'll see how his training works out.
Wait, what?
Oh, I can tell you right now that doesn't happen.
Yeah. We'll see.
Congratulations,
He's
Nate.
always making fun of me because I can't just go do everything he does. So we'll see.
I'm very supportive of your marriage. Okay.
I'm very supportive of your new relationship.
I'm sure you are.
Yeah. Good knowing you, Nate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great knowing you. I will say that I always forget to do any training going into Dirty South. Like I will just ride zone 2 just like the whole time. Like pretty much my season ends the second weekend in December. Like that's when my season ends. So even if I take the rest of December off and start training again in January, like I'm never in any good shape by Dirty South time. Like I'm just barely getting around.
So I guess to close things out, it's about time to close this thing down. I do want to, I just did a little Strava research here. Out of the 6 of us, who has, and of course, maybe we don't post everything on Strava, but who's got the lowest miles of the 6 of us?
I would think maybe me.
I'm
It's
probably
you.
bottom.
Is it me?
Hope
By
it's
a
not
lot. Yeah. By quite a bit. I was like, you only have like 2,800 miles for the year or something. Is that
Dang.
right?
Yeah, probably.
I guess a lot of those are mountain bike miles, so that kind of counts.
I mountain bike probably twice.
I
a
go
week.
by hours.
So Gabe's an actual mountain biker.
Gabe is a mountain biker.
Gabe is an actual biker.
Right. He has to he has to lead road rides. Part of his
No,
part of
that's
his
the
job.
only reason I'm there.
Tells us to
No,
shut.
I actually got a road bike this year. So
He's got an Athos now.
at the end of the year, I got a road bike. But so
And he
you
still
guys
hasn't
better
come racing.
Yeah, so
you guys
Gabe
better
might
watch
be
out.
Watch
a real
out.
mountain biker.
Who's got the most miles?
Nate.
Austin or Nate. Yeah, probably.
Nate.
Yeah.
You're right.
I
You're right
already know
behind
that.
him, though, Justin, by about you're about 2,000 short of him, I think.
Who, me?
Yeah. Or
I'm at
1,000 something.
8179.
Wow.
God, dang. I feel really good about myself.
Oh, you're
that
only-
you guys train so much harder than I do.
Yeah, you're only 4,000. According to Strava, you're only 4,400. I mean, I train a lot, yeah, I'm like at 4,146. But a lot of those are like at snail pace, so not really getting a lot out of that. But well, congratulations, everybody, on a great season. Season of soil cycling and Western Kentucky cycling and whatever. I imagine that we won't have a lot to meet about and talk about until kind of the build up to the Dirty. I don't know if Jeff Max is going to come back in and really push Zwift and indoor cycling. I'm looking forward to that. Actually, if I snap my chain and fall, you guys want to see my bruise?
No,
I think
No.
I'm good.
I've avoided it.
It's gotten worse.
we're gonna get
It's up
banned.
to-
This can't go on YouTube now.
It can't be monetized. Just blur. Look
Oh,
at that.
yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gnarly.
It's moved up like it's traveling. It's traveled to the front. Like it started in the back, and
They
now
say
it's
that's
actually
good.
traveled. It's
No,
an insane
swelling
bruise.
natural, Matt.
Huh?
That swelling up front is supposed to happen sometimes.
So, are you going to be able to ride Black Friday? That's the only thing I have left.
Yeah, I can
Matt.
ride Black. Yeah, I've never been there. I'm excited for that. Oh yeah, we had to talk about Black Friday. I forgot about Lake Kinkade.
Mhm.
Brand new trails that are just redone.
So, I will caveat that somewhat. We're starting on the old school trail. So, the first like 3 miles will be the stuff I kind of grew up on. But then the after that will all be like brand new built,
Cool.
machine built trail.
I'm looking forward to that.
My back hurts already.
What's the mileage on? So,
I think if we do what I'm thinking, it'll be 15 miles.
I've
It'll
got
be
to
like
put that in Training Peaks.
yeah, it's yeah for
what
sure.
can you tell me around what TSS I'll
A
be at?
event.
I'm guessing it's like it's probably like 160. That would
Just
be
bring
my
your
guess,
e-bike,
TSS.
Austin.
I'll pencil it in with my coach, but I'll be there. E-bike
Bring
if
your
I have
e-bike.
to.
Oh, well, what do you think, Nate? Is that good for him?
Yeah, coach. What?
Yeah, and he's gonna have to ask me, and then he's gonna ignore every single thing that I tell him.
Sounds about right.
Like a good
It sounds
friendship.
like it sounds like my coaches tell me.
All right, Black Friday, guys. I will see you there. Everybody's welcome. Black Friday Ride has always traditionally been a pretty, very open to a lot of different paces. I'll come and I'll make sure nobody gets left behind because I'll
Thank
be
you.
back there. So a lot of good
It's
times. I
probably
hope
the-
to see you there.
It's the biggest event of the year, I think.
It is usually
Yeah,
usually.
usually.
One of the funnest.
Yeah.
We'll have more people there than we're at Spooky.
Oh yeah,
almost.
I'd
Yeah.
say so. Yeah. All right. Anybody got anything else?
Yeah.
All right, Austin. I hope you enjoyed your first and maybe last or maybe first,
Yeah, I've got to.
maybe many more. Once you're on the show, you don't have to win any more races. You're here,
Oh,
so
really?
welcome.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Well, that's good.
'Cause-
So I don't have to go down to beginner.
No,
Okay.
I think I might do Catalyst Beginner next year and shoot for a win though. That's,
I'm gonna do the half dirty, and I'm gonna give it a go this year. So
yeah, I won't win that.
You're gonna have to compete with
There's
what's his
half-dirty
name, JJ.
yeah, I know that's
Guys
last
like
year I
Brian
did-
Davis. Brian Davis is out there. He's a half dirty specialist.
Yeah, last year I got in like literally the day before, so there was not much going into it. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna that new kicker bike there. It's only training for half dirty.
Nate and I ride in tandem.
No, I've ridden a tandem one time in my life, and he is in this call.
Well, I'm a
Never again.
better driver.
I don't care. It's the most miserable experience I've ever had in my life on a bicycle.
Were you in the back?
Yes,
Yeah.
That's because Austin
He
was
had a
driving.
good
It's fine.
view.
great view.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. We're always looking for sponsors for the podcast. If you got silica, we will talk about your crock podinator, whatever other bull stuff you're selling. Have a good one, guys. Thank you. And I'm turning off recording right now.